Okay, we're going to get back started.
I want to find out, how do you treat the blisters?
How do you change the blisters?
How do you treat them? Because you're going to coat them.
Right.
And then how do
You treat it like a burn. You put aloe vera on it, honey on it, until it heal up. You treat it just like you treat any kind of burn. Okay, we're going to get back started. Now, with this, remember now, when you put the garlic on the knee, it's going to produce these large blisters. And these blisters, sometimes these blisters can get as large as a chicken egg. And so here, they're constantly filling up with fluids. And then you're going to have to prick those blisters. Now, you notice at the top of the knee, you can see where it has an open wound. That's where he rubbed it. So what happened is, when you put the garlic on the skin, it's going to swell, come straight up. If you rub it because it's hurting, you're going to offset the tissue. And once it lay down, it won't line back up. And your body going to shed that tissue to grow another one. So you just create a sore. But if you let it rise, prick it, and then it'll set back up and it won't even leave a scar. So be mindful. Try not to rub it. Let it lay back down in place, and you won't produce a sore. So here you can see I'm taking a sterilized needle and I'm pricking them. And I'm draining that fluid off. And as that fluid come off, it's reducing the inflammation. They have not the slightest excuse for eating flesh of dead animals. God's curse is resting upon the animal creation. You see how I just popped out of nowhere with that? And that's because I really want to teach them to stop eating animal meat. But in order for me to teach that, I got to get their interest and show them that the reason you got that arthritis is because you're eating that animal meat. And so without me telling them that, I'm saying, yeah, you've been eating chicken, you've been eating fish, you've been doing that. That's why you got arthritis. I don't have to tell them that. I don't have to embarrass them. I just got to tell them about how you got this problem right here with this big knee problem. You got this big knee problem now, and I'm telling them how you can fix it. So now the next thought is they have not the slightest excuse for eating flesh of dead animals. God curses resting upon the animal creation. What is the curse? In Genesis, the 9th chapter, verse 5, God said he would revenge the death of these animals that you eat. He will revenge them by every animal that you eat. Genesis, the 9th chapter, verse 5. And God will revenge the death of these animals that you're eating. And so that's God's curse. That's his curse. And so they have to recognize they've been cursed. And that's why they have their problems. Many times when meat is eaten, it's decay in the stomach, create disease, cancers, tumors, pulmonary disease. Is largely caused by meat eating. Council on Diets and Food, page 383. Then I go right back and I'm showing them some more problems. Here they have ringworm. And the ringworm is a parasite. They thought it was a birthmark or something, but it's a ringworm that's living off of their body. Then I said, well, you know, that Parkinson disease you have is coming from your lifestyle and the foods and stuff that you eat. And so now I have to train. I do a lot of physical therapy. Because with Parkinson disease, you have lost that ability to be properly coordinated. So, you know how you take little children, you play patty cake, man, patty cake. Why are you doing that? You're teaching them hand and eye coordination. That's what you're doing, because they don't have it when they're young like that. You're teaching them that. You may not even know it. You think you're just playing a game, but that's what you're teaching them, so that they can walk and run without falling all over themselves. They can pick up something without being clumsy. Well, when a person has Parkinson's disease, they have lost that ability. So I'm teaching them, Stretch your arm out. Pull it back. Stretch your arm out. Pull it back. And he's watching my hand. But if I didn't do it, I said, stretch your hand out. And he's confused. He's just confused. But when I said, put your hand out, and I do my hand, he automatically have an eye visual contact, and he can put it out. It's kind of like if I was going to teach him. I work with a lot of quadriplegic stroke patients because I was born with a handicap. I can identify with it. I'm better at that than anything I believe. I really believe with quadriplegic stroke patients, I'm more equipped for that because I know what the limitations are. So you take a person and you said, I'm trying to put this where you can see it with the camera. I said, give me that pencil right there. And they said, they're having trouble doing it, you know what I mean? Because they just can't visualize doing it. And eventually they might figure out how to get it. But if I said, give me that pen right there, and I take my hand and I take it over there to them. I said, pick that up. And they pick it up. I said, now bring it back. They bring it back. I said, now put it back on the table. I take it and I help them put it on the table. I may do that for 2 weeks, 30 minutes a day. And then I said, give me that pen right there. I touched the hand. I move my hand. By the time they get it, I said, pick it up. They pick it up and they bring it back. Then I said, now, give me that pen right there. And they move out there, and I touch it, and they go get it. And they bring it back. Then I said, give me that pen out there. I don't even touch them. And they go get it. I'm teaching them to have hand and eye coordination. It may take days and weeks for you to do that. But you can retrain Alzheimer's brain. You can retrain stroke patients to do that. So I'm teaching them how to set up, because I'm getting ready to teach him how to walk. And so he see how still he is? That's that Parkinson doing that. Now he's going to walk. I'm telling him how to walk. Now watch him when he go around this chair. Look how long it's going to take him to get around that chair right there. He do that. It might take him 2 weeks doing that. Every day he's doing that. But eventually he'll get it. And I'm doing other things. I'm giving colonics. I'm giving salt massages. I'm giving steam baths. I'm giving juices. I'm giving vitamins. I'm giving about 85% raw diet. I'm giving him dopamine because doctors give them L-Dopa. I'm giving them natural dopamine, like I put them on a banana fast, which is high in dopamine. I put them on fava beans. Fava beans is very high in dopamine, natural dopamine. Instead of depending on the pharmaceutical dopamine, I find foods that are high in dopamine. And doing all these things, I'm able to reverse many of these problems. Now, the next one is where a person may have gangrene, may be associated with diabetes, may be a bed sore. But here is where I know that he's got an open wound, it's subject to infections. So my first job is to keep that wound clean and keep the infection down. And knowing that honey is the best medium to use, I would put honey on it, or I put sugar on it, and that would debride it and keep it clean. And then every day I would spray it down with hydrogen peroxide. You can mix them, yes. But it's really good for debris and cleaning up that dead tissue. Honey and sugar would go in and eat the dead tissue out of the wound. So it lessened the chances of getting infection. Hydrogen peroxide. 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 Yeah. He has gangrene. He has gangrene of the toe. Same way, sugar and iodine, honey on it. It make a lot of what? Yeah. You know, I try to lessen the pain, but they probably going to experience some. And you do what you can to help them with the pain. And it eat out the dead tissue. Mm-hmm. You had to clean out the dead tissue. Yeah, but the thing is, it had a wound up under the bottom of it. It had a sore on it. If it do not have a sore on it, then you want to increase the circulation. Do some hot and cold treatments on it. And keep the foot elevated. And Jeremiah, the 46th chapter, verse 11. In vain shalt thou use many medicines. And in Jeremiah 8:22, is there no physician there? Why then is not the health of the daughters of my people recovered? In other words, what God is saying through Jeremiah, is there no physician means no medical missionary physician or priest. He said, is there no physician there? And then he asked this question, why then is not the health of the daughters of my people recovered? He said, I have placed medical missionaries, physicians in the church, and they are there to help my people. So why is the reason why this is not taking place? Because the medical people have abandoned the health work to go into private practice. And no one will tell them that because they are the biggest supporters in the church. And that man went into private practice so he can make more money. And he should never have done that. God called that man just like he called every other evangelist to work in conjunction with the church. And so because he can make more money, he went into private practice. And then Ezekiel 34:4, disease have ye not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which it was sick.
May I ask you one thing? When you have an open gangrene, you're also making some or exercise.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. There's a lot of things you can do for open wound. Yeah. This is flaky skin on the lip. This is condition. This is a common warning sign of dehydration. It may also indicate more serious problems that affect the sweat gland function, such as hypothyroid. So if you end up with a lot of chapped lips, it may be a sign of dehydration. Excessive face hair, unwanted hair, particularly along the jawline, chin, and upper lip, could be a symptom of polycystic ovary syndrome. This is talking about a woman. If she have hair in those areas which she's not comfortable with, like around her lip, her mouth, the chin, it's a sign that she could have polycystic ovaries. Receding chin, along with traits like a thick neck and a small jaw, this could be a sign of sleep apnea, a disorder in which breathing repetitively stops for 10 seconds. So I'm looking at all these things because they're telling me things. And here's another one. The horizontal lines may indicate digestional problems. Now, the horizontal lines is, like, let's say if you have digestional problem. Now, the facial expression is going to be different. You're going to, squinching up because you got, it's a problem with your stomach. When you do that, you're causing this line to crease, as you see in her forehead right there. Because she's squinching up like that, and it's causing that line to develop. And you look for things, because I know, looking at that, that's telling me there's something wrong with the abdominal area. Now, here's another one. See somebody with wrinkles around their lip. What is that telling you? They're puffing on a cigarette. And by doing that, they causing the wrinkles increasing their lip by doing that. And it's going to affect their voice and their appearance. And they don't have to be telling you they smoke. You can look at it and tell they smoke. Now, this is the dark circles around the eyes. The dark circles that persist despite regular, restful, sufficient sleep may be the result of food intolerance. Sufferers should remove dairy and wheat from their diet. Also, it indicates a possible deficiency in iron. Now, if you see someone got those little white spots around the eyes, that's a sign of high cholesterol in the system. The person probably not eating a lot of green vegetables, but eating a lot of fried food, probably high in cholesterol. Or they can have white spots. Those white spots also near the outer rim indicate chronic congestion of the lymphatic system.
You don't mean the white or the yellow?
No,
The white?
see up in the corner of the eyes right there, those kind of yellow looking spots.
Yeah, more yellow than white.
Yeah, that's the sign of high cholesterol.
Mm-hmm. And now you're talking about the white spots.
Well, the white spots near the corner of the rim indicate chronic congestion of the lymphatic system and should be avoided cow's milk. It's white, it's just showing up different right here. Mm-hmm. Acne on the jawline. Here may result from eating lots of dairy, sugar, burgers, chips, soda pops. Most children, young folks, above puberty will have these kind of issues because they eat bad, and that's why it's like that. Now, take a look at this person. What do you notice about this person? Anything else? Neck. So this person here have a condition called Graves' disease, a thyroid problem. And the eyes works in harmony with the glandular system. So when the neck swell, it's going to cause the eyes to budge. So if I see that, I'm going to know right off they got some thyroid problem. It's either hyper or hypo. And these are some extreme cases of thyroid problem. Now when you see this man, when I was young, we used to have a cartoon character and a movie star. His name was Mr. Magoo. And he was famous because of his unusual look. He had these big bags on his eyes, and big fluffy looking face. Mr. Magoo. And we didn't know it was a condition that made him look like that. But he had a condition called maxedema. It means he was retaining fluids in his body, and it puffed up in his face. There are other conditions like the one here. So this girl has what? Down syndrome. What does she look like? What race of people does she look like? She look Asian, don't she? Yeah, she does. And it's because there's a chromosome that is missing or damaged. Now, there are different things that can cause the chromosomes to be missing or damaged. Environment, climate, association, a lot of things can affect your chromosome. And so she looked like she was born in Asia somewhere because she's suffering the same chromosome defect as the Asian people had. Okay? And it's because there's nothing wrong with them. But it's their environment, their lifestyle has affected that chromosome, and it all has that general look. Do you understand that? So I'm not saying nothing wrong with them. They may be more healthy than we. But something had altered that particular gene chromosome that make Down syndrome children look like that. Because all Down syndrome children look just like her. Now let's look at it. He's black. Could he go for her brother? Yeah, he could. He looked like that was his sister. They both got that same look. What about here? It's a Mexican. They all got that same look. And what about this Chinese? They all got the same look. That's the Down syndrome look. Because that chromosome is damaged in all of them. And by that being, it made all of them look alike. All of us have had some chromosome problem. That's why that black people can look the way they look, white people can look the way they look, Asian people can look the way they look. It's not to say who right and who wrong, but because environment, climate, and whatever it is, it has changed and altered those chromosomes. If those chromosomes was not altered, we would all look just alike. Okay, we would all look just alike, whatever that would be. But we would look all just alike. So this boy is the Chinese, but he looked like he has Down syndrome. He could go for the brother of that girl with Down syndrome. This is one of their foot right here, feet. So when you see a foot looking like that, with that big gap in it, you know that's a Down syndrome foot. And you can go over here. That's Candida. Candida is a yeast infection that get in the mouth. When a baby have it, they don't call it Candida. They call it thrush. Thrush. That's to get the little white patches in their mouth. And it's very painful when they drink. AIDS patients get it, and other sick people with weak immune system get it, and it's because of a weak immune system. Babies get it because they don't have an immune system until after the 8th day. And here, herpes. Each one of those blisters have thousands of viral components. Upon penetration, these blisters could burst and infect the vaginal area, releasing thousands of viral components. Typically, when you want to come together, you don't do an inspection. You do just the opposite. You cut the lights off and hope for the best. Okay? And so if you did the inspection and you seen that them blisters was there, you might change your mind. All right? But nobody do that because you're not in the mood for inspection. So, but this is how people can get repopulated with these different conditions. There is some wonderful treatments to deal with this, but this is one of the fastest growing conditions it is. Now, let me go back here. When you look at this, and I said this, because I'm not sure what it is, but when you look at this person, do you see a man or a woman? Is it a man or a woman?
It looks like a woman, but it's a man.
That's probably about the best way to put it. Now, what's making her look like that is a damage to her chromosome 45X. Your chromosomes is a blueprint of what you look like in your whole life. Something is wrong with her chromosome 45X. And because of that, she's coming out somewhat amalgamated. Notice that her breast is extended to one end of the chest to the other. Typically, a woman don't have a breast like that. A man would, but not a woman. Typically, a woman would have that thick neck like that. That's a sign of high testosterone. Have you ever seen a stud horse? A male horse that haven't been gilded. I mean, he's ready to, do his thing. His neck is the biggest thing on his body. Bull, too. Look at a male bull. You see how much bigger a male bull is? His neck is the biggest thing on his body. That's because of testosterone. And yet the little female bulls, they don't have big necks because they don't have a lot of testosterone. This person here with Turner syndrome have a big, thick neck, broad shoulders, narrow hips. So physically, she made up like a man. But at the same token, she retains some of the same organs of a female. She got both. She has both organs. And once again, it's because of the chromosomes. This is Bell palsy or stroke. If you can raise both eyebrows, the facial nerves are intact. Therefore, the woman has had a stroke involving the left side of her brain. So if you can, you know how you can squint your head and raise your eyebrow? If you can raise both of them and your face is twisted and distorted, you done had a stroke. If you cannot raise them, you don't have a stroke. That's Bell palsy. Even if your face may be twisted and you may be doing that, and it looks like you had a stroke, you said, raise your eyebrow. And they can't squeeze it. They can't do it. And so that lets you know if they have a stroke or Bell palsy. There's a big difference. Bell palsy is a very minor problem that they eventually will correct itself, but a stroke could be very life-threatening. Now you take this child right here. What do you notice in this child? Huh? What about his lips? His lips are swollen? Open mouth. Why would he have an open mouth? Right. And look at his nose. Right. You can see his nose open real wide. So he's breathing out his nose and his mouth. And that's causing his nose to be somewhat expanded, making him have more of a broad nose. One reason he would have that is the air content is very weak. Except he's in a very humid area where the air quality is very weak. He would have to, not that dramatic, but he's doing that to bring in more oxygen. The more he do that, it can transform his nose to be more broad. Okay? And his lips to be more thicker. That's a condition with psoriasis. Always look on the bony part of the body for signs of psoriasis. Here the elbow, the knee, the back of the kneecap, the hair, just the bony areas will show it up first. This is somebody with psoriasis all over the back. Psoriasis. Rapid scar tissue building up on the body. Best treatment in the world, you don't want to do it, it's motor oil. Use motor oil. Best treatment in the world for that. Just take a little, use motor oil and rub it into those dry areas, and boy, you'd be amazed. Use motor oil. Mm-hmm. So what causes a buzzing sound in your head? It is a symptom or not a specific disease. Tinnitus is very common. 10 to 15 of people experience it to some degree. So some can hear whistling, a roaring, a ringing in their ear. It could really be associated with wax get between the eardrum so that the eardrum is not shut, not closing up properly. Okay, your personality is the length of this finger. According to the recent study, if you're looking for an adequate personality test, look no further than your very own hand. Most specifically, your ring finger. As it is, turn out the length of your ring finger indicate the amount of testosterone you will be exposed to in a womb. The longer and shorter it is, the more telling. So we're looking at the ring finger. To see what your fingers say about you, straighten out your left hand. Compare it to the image below. Hand A means your ring finger is longer than your index finger. Hand B means your index finger is longer than your ring finger. Hand C means your ring finger indicate fingers are the same length. So you look over here, you see the ring fingers are long. Okay. I'll deal with that some other time. I don't know why that wouldn't play. But we're going to get back started. Some other problem, I'm going to just skip on going to the next one. Some other problems that can show up is in your finger. Knowing what a healthy fingernail looks like can help you with a lot of problems. This fingernail is called a spoon nail. When a person have a nail like that, it's an indication that they're anemic or have iron deficiency. That's a spoon nail. And you look at people's finger, and they can tell you a lot. Here's one. When you see that, person probably got thyroid, some arthritic, renal syndrome, psoriasis. It's going to probably be one of them. This is called a yellow nail syndrome. And the problem with this one here is that when they have a yellow nail syndrome, they're probably deficient in vitamin E. And then you have your pitted nails, which could be a sign of psoriasis. This one here is called clubbing. This is a real important one here because, especially if you fly a lot, you look at the tip of people's fingers. On the very tip, you see how the fingers bevel. It's really large on the tip where the fingernail at. What that is, it shows that this person has some heart problem or respiratory lung problems. The reason they are bevel large like that, a club like that, is because there's some problem wrong with their bronchial tree in their lungs. And your fingertips will reflect what's happening in your lungs. So in your lungs, your bronchial tree will be swollen too. So you can't look in your chest, but your fingertips will let you know something's wrong with your bronchial tree. And so if it is, you see people got really large fingertips right on the edge, that means they're subject to heart failure or some type of respiratory failure. And we had a dear friend of ours that he has fingertips like that. And he went on an airplane ride and his heart stopped. He was declared brain dead for 7 days. And he's alive today and one of the best medical missionaries in the world. But he had these bevel fingertips. And he wasn't aware of it, but I was aware of it. And y'all know who I'm talking about. And, everybody thought he was going to die, but he didn't. He recovered, and now you never know nothing was wrong with him. But they had given him up. He had went to England, London over there, when that happened. So I won't call his name. Y'all don't know him. It don't matter. But he wouldn't care. He shares testimony all over the world now because he's a miracle that he could come out of being brain dead and been deprived of oxygen all that time, and then now his brain is just as good as it ever was. But the tips of his fingers are beveled like that. And so these things will let you know what's going on. This is a sign of thyroid problem when the hands are puffy with a lot of fluid in them. Could be a thyroid problem. Let's slide 135 if you want to follow me. And I'm going to go up here to, this is one where the nails are just like person been chewing on their nails, but this is one where it said yellow, nails look yellow. It could be a sign of lung disease, fungal, psoriasis. All could be a sign of that. Also could be a sign of lung cancer. White spots on the nails could be a sign of trauma. It could be a sign of some zinc-related problems. Slide 151, with these ripples in the nails, that's a sign of psoriasis. And this one here, go back here. Most common cause of fingernail that suddenly look unhealthy is some type of fungal infection, both yeast infection, bacteria infection, and it's easy to pick up. But this one here is a white color nails, fingernails, the white color. That's a sign of severe anemic condition. That's crippling arthritis. And this is slide 162. It's what they call a hairy tongue. A hairy tongue is a sign that person's probably been taking too many antibiotics. And that is one, it's called a black tongue. It's really nothing really wrong except that person needs to be detoxed and cleaned out. It's dark like that because he's bagged up in his colon. But this is a more serious one where it's cancer of the tongue. What we do for one like this, got the cancer of the tongue, is we make a tea out of honeysuckles. We go out in the honeysuckle vine that grow all in the bush, and we make a strong tea out of that, and we let a person gargle his mouth out with the honeysuckle tea. And that really is really good for any type of growth on the tongue. You see a tongue look like this, kind of a reddish looking tongue, smooth and reddish looking. It's a sign of vitamin B12 deficiency. Once again, that's also a pink tongue to reddish tongue is a B12 deficiency. A swollen tongue could be from an allergy, hypothyroidism, infection, leukemia, anemic condition, a tumor in the pituitary gland. It's a hairy tongue. Probably taking too many antibiotics, drinking too much coffee, and some medicine can bring that about. And that's it. So that was under the recognition of disease by just simply doing exercise of kind of just observing the human body. And you can always spot something when it's off by knowing what it should look like. It's easy to pick up. Any questions or thought before we close?
It's about vitamin B12 because as weekends, we need to supplement. We will have some supplement of vitamin B12, or we can get it in food.
Well, you may need to supplement for B12. Most people probably do, but you do make your own B12 from your teeth, from your mouth, and also from your rectum. So your rectum make B12 and your mouth make B12. That slime on your teeth before you brush your teeth has B12 in it. And so, and then you also make a little B12 in your rectum. Well, your body just grows B12 like a fungus, to grow it in your rectum. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's close with a word of prayer. Dear loving Father, which art in heaven, Lord, once again, thank you so much, Lord, for your time and your word. Now bless us, dear Father, and continue to watch over us and guide us, Lord, as we continue to go through these studies. In Christ's name, amen. Okay, if you finish with your homework, you can turn that in. If not, you can turn it in. I won't get a chance to check it right now. You can turn it in after our last class this evening.
I have a question. I don't know if I understood it well. I understood that we should make protocol for personalized therapy. So let's say we have it on a paper, but should we also write it in the chart? Or
Mhm.
we don't have to?
You can do both. You can write it in the chart. If you don't want to write in the chart, you can just write up a treatment protocol. It don't matter. As long as I know you know how to follow the chart. I would like to see that you know how to do the chart. The chart is temporary anyway. Once you know how the chart works, you don't need the chart anymore. It's just to help you in the preliminary to know how to write it up. But if you understand how the chart works, you don't need it. But if you do not understand it, then it would be good to use the chart.